Welcome back to another week of Imagine More.
Imagine more with
Uh,
Seth and Jesse.
exactly. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We've been a lot of positive feedbacks about the show. I see that our Twitter following has grown, and that we're just going to continue to put the work in and expand our voice, our progressive voice. So, if you see me a little tired, had a long day, but we're going to keep it trucking here. Um, we have some
Keep
great
trucking on.
Yeah. Seth has a very passionate topic he's going to talk to you guys later about his own personal experience and why we should have universal healthcare. Um, but I'm going to talk to you also about some topics that I thought were interesting this week going into last. That was very politically motivating and kind of a direct correlation to the whole purpose behind this platform that we're using here. This is the Fox News defamation lawsuit case. So I'll give you guys a little background. After the insurrection in 2020, Trump was sounding that the election was stolen and Biden stole the election. And Fox News kind of ran with that story. And they were just saying, yeah, the election was stolen and that, this company, Dominion, contributed it to the fraudulent election results, the alleged fraudulent election results. And so they pretty much kind of slandered this company called Dominion. So Dominion, every week I talk about something legal, used their legal rights and sued Fox News for defamation. And defamation is a fancy word that says that you make up a whole bunch of stuff about me that's not really true, and I'm going to sue you so that you can stop messing with my good name.
Is defamation different than like libel?
Well, libel is a written form of defamation. So there's two types of defamations you can have. You can have libel defamation, excuse me, which is done in written form. This is usually found in newspapers or advertising or marketing, or you can have slander, which is just speaking things that are not true, or falsehoods about a company or someone. So in this case, they sued him for slander because obviously Fox News is a TV programming.
They also have articles, so could have been either, right?
But do people actually read? What is it? What kind of articles do they have?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah. uh, so you're right. They could be suing them for libel too, right? Along with slander. I mean, they're both the same theory of defamation. It's just the type of defamation is it changes. But so, and just to get you guys caught up a little bit, s- so when you're in litigation and when someone sues you, and this is for you guys that who hasn't really dealt with the legal process very much. There's things called depositions. Depositions are, and you guys see them on TV. They always look way more exciting on TV. They're really not that exciting in real life. But essentially, what
Unless you have
they're
Trump in the room.
unless you have Trump in the room, because you're gonna hear about some sex scandal or some provocative thing. But most depositions are pretty boring. Um, and so through these depositions that Dominion was having against Fox News, came to light a lot of information was false that Fox was stating on their newscast. Now, journalism is a constitution protected right, but the courts have interpreted journalism really what it is, and Fox News really don't kind of do journalism. They kind of have that umbrella as journalism, but it's really opinion news. It's really a lot of anchors giving their perspective on what they believe.
Don't they legally have to say it's not journalism? It's because they know they're making stuff up. Isn't it called just like entertainment or something? It's something like that.
Yeah, so yeah, they can make up stories. I think Trevor Noah does it a lot, and a lot of people have a perspective. A lot of talk show hosts at like 11 o'clock have perspectives on the news, but it's not news.
We are
So
100% news, by the way, everyone. Everything we say is
Yes,
Absolute fact.
yes, it's based by articles written by someone else. So what we try to do is, so what they're trying to pretty much do is like, hey, you guys are purporting yourselves out to be a news agency, so you guys have to follow this kind of same standard of a news agency, and you have to report news, and you can't really report falsehoods because, and I try to understand the legal background, just understand because I know it's complex, but essentially with newspapers, it's not enough that they say something that's false. Generally, with newspapers or news articles or news companies, you have to show that they had the intent to use that false information to harm you. It's a legal term of art called malicious intent. But so in this case, Dominion was saying that not only were you propagating false narratives about our voting machines, but you did it so that you can harm us as a company. And they're very successful in their depositions of Fox News and Rupert Murdoch. You don't know, he's the one who's kind of head honcho over there at Fox. Um, he kind of admitted in a deposition that yeah, we know we say falsehoods. I mean, he openly admitted that, which I thought was crazy, but he did. And what ended up happening is, long story short, Dominion settled today the whole case. So not only did they get Fox to go online and say that yeah, we do falsehood news, and like a lot of stuff that comes out of Fox News are not based on facts. We're just making it up for entertainment value. We are also going to settle because we're going to lose this defamation case
Yeah.
because they sued for $1.6 billion, and Fox was like, we can't really afford that,
Yeah. And
so
they know they'd have to pay it.
they know they have to pay it. So they were like, no, we're going to settle this thing up, and so they did settle, and they settled today for $787 million.
So like half.
Yes, half of 1.6, and man,
Still insane.
yeah, if I was a lawyer on that, I'd be making $210 million. But I'm not. But so that was pretty cool. I thought like, hey, there goes some accountability finally to Fox and some of the lies they were saying about our election, which I thought was very detrimental to us as a country, by saying that our elections are fraudulent, and that we didn't, it wasn't done proper, and there's a big, you know, state behind.
Conspiracy theorists
Yeah.
and like there's everybody's connected behind the scenes somehow to deliver this anti-conservative result, and it's like leading to all these anti-democratic movements like in the Republican Party, and every single election that they lose from now on they'll just say, well, just like Trump, it was rigged. And it just
Hmm.
gives them an excuse to just literally just lie every single election to their entire base. So we're increasingly living in two separate narratives, and
Yeah.
it's kind of dangerous because it's very easy for you to come to the conclusion, hey, we should probably storm the Capitol if your country is literally being taken over in like a fascist coup. If Trump took over the Capitol, you the logical response on our side would be like, hey, we're not cool with that. So it's pretty
Right.
easy. It's pretty easy to like see it from their perspective when they think that it's actually happening. Which is, it's even easier to come to that conclusion when the news is telling you that it's happening. The
Yeah.
news your news source tells you that the American democracy is falling apart and the election was completely stolen somehow, even though Biden won 7 million more votes,
Exactly.
somehow all of that was it's because of the mail-in ballots. They found a way to throw away 7 million votes or something. Like, how the
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah. It
could you
doesn't
do
make any
that without
sense.
more proof? They're just like, look at this far away image. Like, you look at this picture in this video, guys. You could see him reaching under the desk, so clearly he's throwing away ballots. Like that's like their evidence. These TikTok fucking videos, and it's like if you find if you're looking for evidence, you'll be able to find it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If you're looking for a conclusion, you'll be able to find evidence that you can point to. It's a very easy thing to do if with
yeah,
conspiracy theorists. If you have something an end goal you're trying to find, like you can just draw connections that don't already exist. And you could do that with literally anything. I could like prove that's what happened with the Pizzagate conspiracy, where they're like, there's this one pizza restaurant that's trafficking all these underage children and stuff like that. And
oh, really?
oh, Hillary Clinton said something about pizza in her speech, therefore she's hinting to her supporters about she's really in Pizzagate, and like literally just the most nonsense shit. And I don't know, when you already believe a narrative, you can find little pieces of evidence everywhere that justifies your own perspective.
Yeah, that's why social media is so dangerous because
Hmm.
everyone takes it and runs with it. It's like the same. Imagine the algorithm knows who your friends are, and they know the topics you like to like to
Engage with.
engage with. So they're gonna send you the same information. That's why you get back on the platform,
Yeah,
so they can send you the same
they're gonna
yeah,
pad your ego a little bit and tell you everything you ever thought was right.
yeah. So these people have now this self-inflated idealism, which is like there's no actual no reason test being applied to it. It's just well, my algorithm said that this is what's happening on this day, and it's like, well, I mean, there's actual facts that your message is wrong. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing. There's actual factual facts. Bureau of Labor statistics. I can't even. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't even know what that is. Bureau of Labor statistics. It's like, or like,
it's just part of the government, so it's
yeah,
all corrupt and it's
just make
all.
it up. It's like no
it,
CPI data is just it is what it is. There is no Democrat Republican. We can tell how much
yeah,
inflation is based on CPI. We can tell how
that's
much.
that's the thing about conservative rhetoric is anything government you can just pin it on the Democrats and be like, we don't like government, and the
Yeah,
government has a bureau of statistics. They have all these statistics. It's not real. It's the government.
yeah.
It's all conspiracy. They're all connected. Everything's tied together. It's all Hillary Clinton in the Satan baby eating. Like it's literally, you would be shocked. It's at least a third of the country thinks exactly like this. I'm not being hyperbolic.
No, no, no. I know you're not, and it's intriguing because as a country, what makes us great is the fact that we have differences of opinions, but we have a commonality that makes us work harder. But then sometimes you hear somebody's perspective, and you're like, "Bro, I don't even know how you came up with that." It's like
Having a difference of opinion is only a good thing when we share the same data, when we say
exactly right.
the same reality. If you live in a completely different reality, then your perspective is not valid
Yeah,
in
it's like
an extent. It's like you have to presuppose every single thing in order to come to the same conclusion as them. You know what I mean? And like if you do, some of it is somewhat logical. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to. I just realized I keep saying you know what I mean, and my grandma got mad that I said you know what I mean too much on this show. So I'm gonna catch myself every time. You know what I mean? You know what I
thanks,
mean?
Grandma.
Yeah, she's got my best interests.
Yes, she does.
Hmm.
If you know what he means.
Yeah, she's also a big fan of yours. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
former Republican, she said she'd vote for Jesse.
Well, so I love that because I don't care about parties. I just care about progressive things. So I
Yeah,
love the
I
fact
don't
that
care
we,
about, and that meaning the Democratic Party isn't like good, but it's very
yeah,
important to not be a Republican.
yeah, no, I'm in line with the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
But it's so much in line because of the issues that they stand for than it is just because they're Democrats. I
but
don't
it's
think
also it's a binary, so you could just say like you can't even lump together half of the voters into one category either, because very
yeah,
different from a Mike Bloomberg Democrat, very different from
exactly.
any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I focus on my issues. I focus on what makes people move the country forward. Partyism, I'm not a big fan of that. I believe that my ideas that I have as long as with self ideas, is about making sure that we progress forward and whatever whoever that is, if it's a progressive or it's a blue dot Democrat, which normally are not progressive,
Not
they're
normally.
not normally, but if there's some ideas that may come out of that
Yeah,
coalition of people that
I
push us
agree.
forward.
Especially as a coalition, because there's so much more we can agree on. Especially with the Overton window shifting so far right, where it's like it's very
Yeah,
easy to agree with all these people when it's literally on the issue of democracy itself. You know what I mean? When it's
yeah,
like I did it, I can't stop hearing it now. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I know. You know, Jesse knows what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. To wrap up with the whole Dominion, the Dominion case. I said Old
Mhm.
Dominion. Like, was that like a football team? Like to wrap up
I
Dominion.
do keep thinking Old Dominion, like the
Yeah,
college.
no college. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To wrap that up, I would say that it's great that there's some accountability happening to Fox News,
Hmm.
and all our news outlets need to have that same accountability. News outlets are not social media; they're not uh, TikTok. They're there to provide us with factual information that should be able to discern and make a perspective based on the facts.
Yeah.
They're not. They're opinionated news. There's no place for opinionated news. um, it is, but it should be prime time, 8 o'clock. You know, who you're
Yeah.
getting is slanted, and that's what your news.
They
But
have to be very clearly and openly like an opinionated news site. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
exactly,
we're conservative news. We have a perspective. This is what happened. This is our opinion on it. It's not like breaking news.
exactly.
There's caravans at the border. The entire population of the country of Belize. They're all making their way up to your neighborhood,
Yes,
and they're gonna kick you out of
everyone
your home.
like, and I'm like every time I was telling that to Jenny, and for all you guys don't know, Jenny's my wife. Uh, I was telling that to Jenny. We were driving. I forget where we were driving to. I think we were driving to someplace,
Probably
and
Miami.
yes, because we traveled to Miami a lot. But no, we were driving someplace. It was the middle of nowhere, and I was like, man, we for as much as we talk about we have no space in America, man. I don't think most people have traveled through the mid west of Florida. I'm sorry, the Midwest of the country
Yeah.
and all the centralized states. It's like there's plenty of space in Kansas,
It's
North Dakota. Huh?
there's just not proximity to jobs. That's the issue.
Yeah,
If we had the entire population of the world in like the density of, I don't know, there's really the most dense city on earth. If we all lived in that density, every single person on the planet, we could fit inside like New Jersey legitimately.
yeah. Wow,
Like if we're the same size as China, like the country, like the physical size, we're the same size as China, but they have
1 billion people in there.
6 times as many as us. Maybe they have they're closer to 2 billion now, I think, or maybe a
Oh,
billion and a half. They have
yeah,
like 6 times as many people as us, and we're about the same. So they're just more dense. They have more big cities. You know what I mean?
yeah.
God, I keep saying
Gosh,
it.
man. It's okay. I know what you mean, man. Get the fun guys.
If I
All
keep
right.
pointing it out, I'll change my behavior.
Yeah. Speaking of China, did you see that the Brazilian president? Well, I
Lula.
think we talked about this last week. Like they're trying to change the currency to the yen.
Oh yeah, you somewhat mentioned that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lula
Yeah.
is Lula is very interesting because he's not like that kind of socialist. He's basically a more moderate version of Bernie, and the reason why he would be aligning against the U.S. is because obviously U.S. capitalist interests in the South American continent have not great record.
Yeah, we've done a bad. I've always talked about Pan Americanism. I actually now have a name for it.
Yeah,
Um, it's I think that we, as a country, our foreign policy is terrible. We're
in
focused
most
more.
regards.
Yes, in this regards, we don't focus at. We don't put no resource into fixing our neighbor countries, which provides us security. Because here's the thing: people don't understand. Like when you have a country like Haiti, like my parents' country, like Haiti. these people are desperate for jobs and resources. And if China's going to come here and say to Haitian people, like, here's $2 billion, and we're going to create a whole different industry. All we wanted to do is make sure that we put Chinese manufacturing, Chinese software, Chinese everything in your country, so we can spy on America. You know,
Yeah,
why would they not take that deal? You know, and
yeah,
why
we're
don't
not helping them.
yeah, we're not helping them. And why don't they go to Cuba, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, work their way up to Mexico, Nicaragua? And then so I think it's a security interest of America. We should be focusing on building these countries up so they're loyal to us, and not loyalty in the way that Trump talks about loyalty, by trying to threaten and minimize those different cultures, by empowering them and showing them and then building up their middle class.
Creating genuine economic ties and like
Exactly.
it's just soft power that America is kind of not, especially for the last 4 years before Biden. We
Mhm.
couldn't do anything in that regard. It's not like Trump had any pull and sway. In fact, the only people we were interested in meeting with him were dictators. You know what I mean? They're like, I like that guy.
Yeah,
I'll meet with him. I'll meet with Putin. I'll meet with Kim Jong Un. Trump won't shut up about how he admires these guys. And oh, Xi
yeah.
Jinping. Oh, we are very close friends. We what a great friendship. Oh, he's a very smart guy. We hate China. I just don't get it. It's just empty rhetoric mixed with like complete hypocritical perspectives. I don't understand how he can hold both. He admires all these countries, yet the biggest threats are these countries. Yet he also admires America, but the biggest threat is coming from within. It's our crooked judicial system, and
Yeah,
now like you can't even. We prosecuted Fox, yet they're not even going to care. It's not like any single person is going to be swayed by that. They're already so deep in that they're like, it's just the crooked uh, FBI is all tied up with this, and that's the
yeah,
reason why this Fox got sued for this defamation. Of course, Fox is telling the truth, and of course, the giant government would try to sue them for defamation if they were being exposed. You know what I mean? You can create so many conclusions just based on a false presupposition about just the government's out to get you in every regard. It's just such an unrealistic expectation of your opponents. Like you'd think we'd
yeah.
be a lot more powerful and we'd have a lot more accomplished if we had the ability to just shut down right wing misinformation left and right, not left.
No, it's the Machiavellian approach, which is just separate, divide, and the best way to get people to be divided is to say that your government is turning against you. And
And they're
it's
doing it in secret ways that you can't really see, which
yeah,
is because that's why you can't see it. Why That's why there's no evidence. They're covering it up. They're the government.
the
You know,
government.
so it's you don't have to have any evidence as long as you believe it's true because I don't know. But there is evidence. The government does do shit like this, and that's why we can't just push away the sort of anti-government rhetoric as if the state doesn't have the ability to control our every lives. They
Mhm.
talk shit about the big government controlling our lives, yet every single policy and every single social issue they talk about requires federal government in some ways. And if it's not the federal government, they're just pushing down authoritarianism to the states. They're just saying,
Yeah,
"Oh, a governor. We don't want the federal government involved. We want the governor to decide your health care and your every single what private business can do and what they don't have any sort of real understanding of freedom. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just a way to push. It's just rhetoric. It's just against the Democrats. They're anti-government, and then when they're in power, they don't talk so much about being anti-government. Then it's all about conservatism and it's about being strong on the world stage and it's about ending crime. They don't talk about how authoritarian the government is when Trump is in charge, even though Trump has spent the most money out of any president in U.S. history, right? He's
yeah.
especially and without any surplus. You know what I mean? He had to increase the deficit. He had every single thing they complain about.
He did, right? He's the only
He-
Republican I know who did
He's
that.
done everything they've
Well, him and
complained
George
about.
Bush, they both did the same thing.
George Bush at least was a good person to his family. At least
Yeah,
he's a family man to an extent.
it's like, yeah, man, you were one of the greatest family man's presidents ever. That's not true. All
Just
right, I try to give him a
just
compliment.
compared to Trump. Compared to Trump,
Oh yeah, well that's
these liberals trying to take
Bill
away the
Clinton looks like
sanctity of marriage, says the
Bill,
man who cheated on his pregnant wife with a porn star, then covered up it. But that's not even like a big deal because it's not even the only time he's cheated. He cheats all the time.
yeah, man, he makes Bill Clinton look a saint.
And who knows what happened on Epstein's Island? There's
I
plenty of
don't
pictures
know.
of Trump and Clinton on Epstein's Island.
I don't want to go there.
Why?
Last person, last person that talked about it, they kind of offed them. So I'm not going
Yeah,
there.
but yeah, but
I'm
every
going
single right
there.
wing person on the planet talks about it. Nobody's off the entire right wing podcast and base, so I think we're in the clear.
All right.
As long as you don't have any information,
No, I don't. I'm not
you don't
that.
have
I'm not.
inside information, you're probably in the
No,
clear.
man. I'm definitely not that plugged in.
No, I don't think so. They're just taking out the people that
Yeah, I
know
like being
who's
on the.
involved.
I like being on the outside. I like being the fighter trying to break down the wall. I don't want to be the guy inside of
You
the
don't want
wall.
to beat the system from within.
No, I do not. Because
Somebody's
anybody,
got.
every time anyone ever says that, we're gonna beat the system for within. It's like, bro, you are the system. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
You're gonna
once
beat
you're
yourself
within,
up.
you become part of the system. Not very many
Yeah,
people, follow through on that. Obama kind of ran on that rhetoric, but immediately was taken over by the system.
yeah. It's like
Because the second you get elected, it's all about reelection.
it's all our election for them, and I'd rather stay on my principles. Just
Yeah.
eventually your principle. I look at Bernie for inspiration in that respect. Bernie stand by his principles, and eventually it was his time. But he never wavered, and I feel like that's what our politicians need to
Yeah.
be. It's like don't waver.
Just stay
You
your
know,
course.
stay your course, and if it's your time, it's your time. If it's not, it's you're not. But at least you can die on your principles and your morals.
Yeah, because if it is your time and you got a lot of dirt, it's gonna ruin a lot. It's not gonna take you all the way. Like
No, it's gonna come out.
how, during the primary, at some point, it was Elizabeth Warren's time. It was Kamala's time. It was Mayor
Mhm.
Pete's time after he won Iowa. You know what I mean? Like it was.
Yeah,
They had their opportunity there.
yeah,
And if they didn't have dirt, if they didn't have ways to mess it up, I mean, they would be the president right now. But no, they lost their moment. DeSantis is losing his moment.
yeah.
There was a moment there.
He's probably gonna announce within a week or two
I
because
don't
he
think
is
so.
losing.
I don't think he's
He's
gonna
losing.
run.
He's losing a lot of steam. Well,
Yeah.
he bought a lot of TV ads recently. Well, not him. His super PAC.
Hmm.
The super PAC's a big joke. People always say they have no control. They do have control of that
Oh
super
yeah.
PAC. Yeah, so his super
Enormous.
PAC is launching over his TV ads against Trump, and so I think he's going to announce really soon because he is losing a lot of headwinds in the
Oh, you think
polls.
you think he's gonna announce so he gets that back?
Yeah, I mean, generally people don't announce for presidency until 18 months out because
Yeah.
it usually takes about 18 months to run a campaign, and technically under Florida law he can't really run as a president currently
Hmm.
because he would have to abdicate his position as
So
governor
then, why do you think he's about to announce soon?
because he's going to change the law.
I would believe it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he has a
Yeah,
super.
I don't know that Tim Scott or Nikki Haley have that much of a shot against him, and obviously not whoever I can't even pronounce. Some other guy who's just making name for himself, Swami or something. I don't remember.
Don't know his name. I don't. I never heard of him. I
There's just
know. I know Tim Scott. I don't even know if he officially announced, but I know he's running.
he's got an exploratory committee. He's got
As
an
far
ad.
yeah, I just don't see Tim Scott bringing together the Republican Party.
No, I can definitely see him in a high cabinet position, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think he can win. I don't think he has the energy.
I don't think he has the energy. I don't think he has a base to
That's what I
go
mean.
after. Yeah,
The energy to
yeah,
create a base.
yeah, the base of because Trump base is kind of unique in that it does have independents in there. Um,
Yeah, that's true. Nikki Haley could definitely have taken over the like if this was 2016 and she ran, she would. You know what I mean? If
she would have
while
that
the
shot in
establishment
2016.
was still in power and
Yeah,
it was not so Trumpy, she
yeah,
would immediately have the nomination. She seems like the next logical pick after like Romney. You know what I mean? God, I
yeah.
can't.
I think the debates will separate some people.
Yeah.
I think the debates. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitt Romney throw his hat back in there for a fourth time.
He can't throw his hat back in there with a moderate the moderates being around both Tim Scott and Nikki Haley because he's just going to split the moderate base more.
I agree, but I suspect if he looks at the elections and sees that none of them are gaining traction against Trump, I think he would take on Trump one on one.
It just depends on what polls now say. He's not very independent minded. He does what consultants tell him to do. So if it would make his reputation look worse, he wouldn't do it. That's how most of these politicians think, which is also why I don't think DeSantis will run, is because at this point his base is crumbling. Which maybe I can see the last second attempt, but like
Yeah, because his base
he
is heavy.
doesn't. He does want to be president, which is why he's not going to risk it because he does seem like the natural successor. So once Trump is out of the way, it's all
Mhm.
his. So I don't think he's going to risk it. He's still so young.
That is true, and I agree with you. I think that that's probably the only thing that's messing with his calculus is like a lot of his supporters are Trump supporters, and
Yeah,
you know,
most of this. I mean, pretty much all of them. They're like, I would do either Trump or DeSantis, and I don't care which one. But
yeah,
now that
they
Trump's going at him and he doesn't have much to say back,
well,
it's
he's not gonna be able to take on Trump
mm-mm,
in that respects.
no. He
It's gonna
just
be too
doesn't have
hard.
the juice.
No, I told you, like Trump is one. There's only a couple people I think can take on Trump, and Biden. Clearly, he beat him. Um, Obama,
Bernie, Bernie
Ob-
definitely could have beat him.
Bernie could have taken him, and Obama could take him. Um,
Let me think
but
if there's another.
I don't think there's because
It's
you have to be.
there's nobody with the clout yet that we could confidently say that, but I could definitely see
I don't.
movements going under. Like I think Raphael Warnock could have had a great shot. Somebody like that.
No, because
You don't think
being
so?
president is all about charisma.
Raphael Warnock is incredibly charismatic, and he's a pastor, and
Nah, he's
he's.
not that charismatic
I think he's
compared to
pretty.
Obama and Bernie.
Nobody's charismatic compared to Obama.
Well, I'm saying, well, even Bernie, not even Obama, just Bernie in general. Bernie Sanders, like I don't care what his policies are. He comes off as charismatic. He
Yeah,
comes off as your
genuine,
grandpa.
authentic.
It's like
I
he's
could see a Warnock if he had a different name, and maybe like 10 years from now, maybe he would. He got because I see a lot of pollsters throw his name up there. I
they
mean,
do, but
maybe Gretchen Whitmer would have a shot. She's a much more likable. She's a very popular governor, and she's a
I
woman.
don't think she has charisma.
I
You know
think
what
she
it
does.
is?
Maybe she just has Michigan charisma because she definitely is very Michigander, and they can definitely see that. She's like, "Oh, we got to fix the roads, fix the damn roads." That was her ad. It's like we got to
Yes.
fix the damn roads, and we're like, "Oh, I relate to that." So
Yeah, I mean, with her, it's to become president, you have to have a certain swag to you. Like it could be
yeah,
Republican, it could be Democrat, but every president has like a swag. George
yeah,
Bush had the good old
he
boy.
definitely did.
I drink a beer with you. He had
John
that kind of stuff.
Kerry did not.
He did not. And then when you look at
Al
Obama versus
Gore
didn't have it. He don't have
didn't have it.
swag. Like
McCain could have
Obama,
been president.
McCain had a little bit of swag, and that's why he was such a formidable candidate against Obama. But McCain just kept making poor decisions, and
Romney, if he
so
ran it a different year, maybe he's just
Romney
so
doesn't have
handsome and
swag like that. He,
he's very handsome and he's very smart and he seems very kind. But like
he does,
he does also seem like the kind of guy that cools down at the end of a long night by drinking a glass of milk.
yeah. That's a great analogy. He's the milk drinker.
Yeah, he just loves his whole milk, and it just really calms him down, brings down the nerves. He's like, boy, that was
Oh,
a rough one. I'm trying to think of his wife's name. It would have
I
it
don't
would have
know.
completed the joke. I can't remember.
I don't know his wife's name,
I
but
was
like,
very politically involved in 2012
yeah, I get
for a
to, but yeah,
13-year-old.
but he was pretty good. 2012 or 13. Jesus, I'm getting old.
Yeah,
I was like, how old was I in 2012? I was 24.
24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Mitt Romney's he definitely gets the milk drinking kind of guy, but no, he doesn't have the swag. Um, who else? Yeah, you can just tell. Some people just have the it factor,
hmm
and to become a president, and it's really hard because
Gavin Newsom is like left wing Mitt Romney. That's what I think. Not left wing, but Democrat Mitt Romney.
like Gavin Newsom seems like a really good candidate. I just don't think he has. And maybe you know what with him, I see the swag. He doesn't have a national profile yet.
He has a liberal swag, though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean. I don't think he could unify the Democratic Party because he's just too. He's just not left wing enough. I think
I
when
did.
they need somebody that's firmly in between both camps, like a slightly more moderate version of Elizabeth Warren.
I like Liz Moore. She has a little swag to her. She has
I
that.
agree for
She has
sure.
that teacher swag. Like I'm the cool teacher in the room,
Yeah,
and it's just like that's like her swag. Amy Klobuchar has some swag to her
I
too.
really disagree.
No, no, yeah, you okay?
I'm a
You're right.
Klobuchar hater. I watched the debate. I watched in the last time since we talked about it. I was watching the debates, and I'm like, oh, she did not do great. But it
Okay,
was been a really bad performance. But it was rough.
I think as the campaign went along, she got better.
Yeah, that's probably true. She definitely had her moment too, where she was like,
Yeah,
she was above Biden for a second.
yeah, she
Like the
was.
first two primaries, she was catching up on everybody, and we're like, oh, maybe it's the Klobuchar moment, but nope.
You know, it felt.
Everything went to South Carolina, and
Oh, everyone died there except Biden.
which is like we could have seen this coming, guys. It's a very establishment Democratic state. Biden's going to win it, but everybody
But
gave up, and everybody it's because he talked to a bunch of Democrats and told them to drop out, and they
well, it
did.
was just they saw that they can't win the black vote, and that was that. If you can't win the black vote in the Democratic Party,
But I think
that's a
Bernie could
hard
have
task
won.
to ask for,
Bernie
huh?
could have won a good enough portion of the black vote to
I
take him over. He did. He did have the second best numbers with black voters, other than uh,
oh yeah, yeah,
Biden.
yes, yeah. But the problem with Bernie is they all kind of coalesced around Biden to
Yeah, it's
stop
because
him.
Rise South Carolina happened. He called Mayor Pete. He said, "I'll give you a cabinet position job. It looks like they're rallying about around me. You want to be in this administration or not?" He called Amy Klobuchar. He called all of them. They dropped out all at the same
Yeah,
time. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. That was
Yeah.
the I
And
saw
with
that they
all
pulled.
candidates dropping out, endorsing one candidate, it sure gives a lot of momentum to the establishment.
Yeah, and it killed the progressive movement because they were
Yeah,
all coalesced around each
we were
other.
so close.
Yeah, I mean it
Again,
still didn't happen. I mean, there's no saying what the Republican if the Republicans were to win, if the
yeah.
Republicans were to win these 4 years, I think a Democrat would win. I I wanted to know now that we live in this microcosm of social media, can we ever have a president that can sit for 8 years now?
Oh, I
It's
think we
hard.
could. I don't. I think it's definitely harder. Is I think people are a lot less comfortable with just having an incumbent, and you get a lot more attention. Like it's very easy to not know what's going on in the presidency in 2004, especially when there's so much focus on the wars and stuff like that.
Yeah,
People aren't like, who is his judicial pick? No, there's so much hyper attention, so much focus on like politics, like it never has been, and I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I think we're Trump genuinely broke the establishment. I guess that's a way to end the sentence. He broke the establishment. I don't think it's
yeah.
ever going to be the same again.
No,
Like,
it definitely is not.
and that's like the only thing I think is good. That's like the main good thing that he did, and but it's also I don't know. It's a there's more risk because
Hmm.
obviously we've seen like the conservatives try to create their own populist movement. And what's popular among conservatives is very, very bad for all of us. So that's not good.
Normally, true.
But we can't get anything passed if we're just playing the same game of, oh, we every 8 years we flip, but we have the exact same economic policies and reactions to economic downturn and the lack of anything passing in the Senate, and there's nothing we can really do to increase spending unless the military. Oh, we're doing something overseas. Okay, here's some money. Here you go.
Just a minute.
It's
Yep.
like I don't know. At least something's at least we're changing. At least we have opportunity. We actually have hope of somebody coming in and changing things for us.
Yeah.
And I'll get hate, but I think Marianne Williamson has the juice, even if she doesn't have the clout. She's got the juice.
We'll see. It's
She
gonna.
just does not have the media attention or the media love. And I think it's very possible that this could start off where like she gets excluded enough by like the liberal media that like conservatives even start to be like, hey, how come they're censoring Marianne Williamson? Oh, she seems actually smart. I don't agree with her policies. The same way with Bernie,
Yeah.
where she could get some real establishment support. People showing up to the primaries that aren't previously Democrats that want to vote for somebody who talks differently, who talks
Honestly, it's just
passionately about like she's a real person. She's giving genuine answers that aren't scripted. She thinks about these issues and she experiences the same problems that the rest of us. She's not a okay, she's probably wealthy, but she hasn't always been. She's not born into that shit like Trump. You know,
yeah.
she's an actual genuine populist. And I think it could strike a chord with people, even if she doesn't win the primary. As long as she's in the debates, I'm very happy, and I think she's gonna change the narrative. Okay, even if she loses, she's gonna change the narrative because Biden. What's Biden gonna say in a primary debate?
I don't think Biden's running.
I
I
think
think,
I kind of agree. I think Biden won't end up running.
yeah, I think that he keeps saying, what he keeps saying, which is smart, um, public relation wise. So that because here's the thing for our audience, Biden can never come out and say, "I'm not running for president."
Yeah,
The reason why is because if he does that, his legislative agenda dies the moment he says that.
but also then he can't control his predecessor. Yeah,
He can't control the president, can't control his party, can't control the bills that get through the House and the Senate. He's literally effectively a lame duck president.
if he said he's not running for president right now,
If he said
every
right
single
now,
Democrat and their mother would jump in the race again, right?
exactly.
But if he
So,
waits off until the very end, when nobody's jumping in, Biden's gonna run. He
yeah,
jumps out. He says, "I think Kamala Harris should be president." Okay,
uh, well, he could do that. Yeah, I think that.
or they're gonna set up Gavin Newsom, which is more likely, I actually think.
Yeah, that makes more sense
Yeah,
because I just think that that's. I don't think he's running. I think that that is. Trust me, he's not running.
I
It's like
mean, I think there's yeah, it's like 60-40, and I don't know which is which.
I think that he says.
It's hard to say. He could end up getting really unhealthy. He could stay exactly the same.
I
If
think
he
his health
if
is
he
already.
maintains his health and he does anything more positive, like minor stuff, he could pull it through. But
I,
that's the odds are against him,
I
honestly.
want to. I want to see the polls of how people feel about because everything that's going to hurt Trump too. How people feel about having a 76-year-old president.
Yeah.
I just don't think because that was such a big issue for McCain. Like he was 81. Was no, he wasn't
No,
81.
he wasn't that old.
He was he I think he died at 81. He
Yeah.
was like something in the 70s, or something like that.
He's probably 70, 71, right?
Yeah,
Like cuz
71.
Trump was the oldest president
Okay, so
inaugurated.
yeah, so he was 70, 71, and that was killing him back in '08 because people are like, what if he dies in office? And then he put Sarah Palin in there,
Yeah.
and then that's when that put the nail in his coffin because people are like, no, if he goes out and she becomes president, it's over. It's
Well, it's
like,
also in stark contrast to the health and vitality of Obama, which
yeah,
just
it
makes
is.
him look even older. So, which is going to help Trump. That's
Yeah,
why it won't help him. It won't help. He can't really attack Biden for his age the same way. He talks about like mental competency and shit like that, but he can't. Trump can't come out and say we need like an age requirement or restriction rather, because
yeah, because
he's just as guilty.
he just as though. I mean, Trump moves a lot younger than Biden, and in terms of how he talks, his rhetoric, and he looks like he has more energy. But I still think Trump is way too old to be president,
Yeah.
even at his age. So that's going to be an argument that I think the country's going to wrestle with having them two because if it's Trump and Biden, Biden wins again because people are like, well, you guys are both old. We don't care.
Yeah, I think it would be a smaller margin. I think maybe instead of 7, it would be 5 million. But it would
Maybe
just
primary.
the conspiracy theories would probably actually. I don't know if the conspiracies would get worse or die down if he won twice. But I do see if Biden does try to go full steam ahead, he's gonna run. He's not. He's ruined his reputation with the progressives,
Yeah.
Marianne Williamson comes on there because nobody else is willing to challenge him in the primary because they're fear of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
If it's just the binary between the two and an incredibly old person like that, and if she really goes at him at his failures, his immigration policies, his crime policies, stuff like that, that he's completely failed and gone back on his promises, his lack, if he does nothing on healthcare, I don't know. Democratic Party or the Democratic voters they are Democrats. You know,
Yeah.
they do want to beat the Republican Party, but especially if she does well with independents, which I think she'd probably do the best with independents. It's probably her base.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could see it happening, even though if she's nobody thought Trump could win. Nobody thought he could win. I didn't think he could win. I'd
I
talked so much
agree.
trash. I'm like, that he is a base now, but it's gonna be Cruz or it's gonna be Rubio. Nobody thought, but once he got just enough of a base, as
Yeah.
every Republican's gonna vote for him. They're not gonna vote for a Democrat.
They're not.
So they're just gonna rally around whoever they choose.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it killed him though because he lost a lot of the Republican base in 2020. He lost a lot of them,
Did he
and
lose a lot of Republicans, or did the Republicans just not care enough to show up?
I think he
Actually,
lost
he had more Republicans voted for him, but
more
that many
Republicans
more
voted for him,
Democrats voted. You know what I
but
mean?
there was a lot more independents who voted for Democrats.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
true.
thing, I think what happened was people got tired of the rhetoric. They were like, look, because they
Yeah,
just got tired of it. There's like he was on the news every single day.
I do think there's probably a fair number of Republicans that left the party because of him, but I do think that pretty much all of them rallied around the second time around. I think it's just less independents showed up this time. I
Mm.
think I wouldn't say less of them. I mean, you're right. He just lost it. A lot more people showed up to vote, and a lot more of them were leaning left.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that showed up in that election. I think it
Yeah.
was like the most people who
Well,
were
it's
voting in
it's because of the
ever.
mail-in ballots, which is why they think it's unfair.
Well,
Which
the
is
Republicans, the Republicans they like to double talk out their mouths a lot. It's
yeah,
like they said that mail-in ballots was unfair. Republicans have been beating Florida senseless because of mail-in ballots for years.
yeah. And I
And it's
think
like,
I think it's pretty obvious that if Trump won, they would not say a goddamn thing about mail-in
yeah, it's
ballots.
like
They
the
they
mail-in,
only care when they lose.
yeah, the mail-in ballot trick has been working for the Republicans in Florida for years, and they finally, uh, Democrats finally started doing it, and it was like, huh. When Democrats vote, we always beat them because there's way more Democrats than there are Republicans. So mail-in ballot ended up working for us because it was more convenient
Yeah, Trump
for
Trump ultimately lost because he told them not to vote mail-in ballots,
who did
right?
say that.
That's
Yeah,
literally he said, "Don't do it this way. We're going to show up to vote. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way." And therefore, some people are at work and say, I didn't get a mail-in ballot. I'm
yeah,
probably
they
gonna
swept it
show
up.
up to vote." And then they're busy. It's like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna go out and stand in line for hours today. People just didn't show up for Trump because they didn't mail in ballots. It's so much easier to just write it in and mail it in 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
There's no real we have like we have proof there's not a bunch of missing, like, people didn't dispose of all the ballots, ballot drops, like, you just don't understand how election coverage works. It's
no,
literally the media and how they covered it. It's not like all of a sudden they found thousands of Biden voters. No, they just didn't press the send button on like reporting it. It's That's how it works. Like, it's how they're counting it. It's not whether or not the votes are there or not. Like,
yeah,
people, it's just so stupid. And like, how would the United States not be able to prevent a Donald Trump election from happening in the first place when Obama is president, right? But
yeah,
then Trump is president. Then all the rigging happens and all the election is out of control in favor of Democrats. How does that make sense? He's in power.
yeah,
Like, he has no ability to stop this prior. It's a grand conspiracy in multiple states. They're all in it together, and they all are sending text messages. All right, dump all these ballots. Do it in that trash can. Blah blah. Like,
and
what do
people
you?
know,
There is so much proof instead of
yeah,
some TikTok video.
you know how hard it is for that to happen. Like it was so bad. The FBI told him like, this is like almost impossible to prove in court, right?
Yeah.
because every state has their own election laws, and every state does it differently. That's why in
Yeah.
Florida you had the crazy Jeb Bush score thing because we did
Yeah.
it differently. Like so for there to be like a mass conspiracy where we can control 14, 20 different states and their election laws. It's like, man, that had to be like the greatest black ops event ever made or
It really
created.
would.
Yeah, it's
But
like,
instead, we see what it actually looks like when you try to influence election illegally. You
yeah,
call governors and say, "Find me some votes. I don't care how you do it." But
yeah,
you're not held accountable for that. No, that doesn't mean anything.
yeah, exactly. All right,
Yeah, Trump,
so
he's like, that phone call, it was the most legal phone call of all time, the best phone call, and there's nothing wrong. Almost as good as my phone call with Zelensky.
yeah,
He literally had a speech exactly like that. I'm
he
like,
did say that.
how do you
Yeah,
think it's the most perfect phone call of all time? Like, how do people listen to him and not see he's such a bullshit artist?
I
Like,
love it.
it's
People
just,
love.
they're like, he doesn't literally mean that. Then what do you think he literally means in any situation of anything he's talking? How do you trust anything that comes out of his mouth? It's pure rhetoric, and he knows everything he's saying is bullshit.
Yeah, but you're buying it. He's a showman. He's a showman.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, some quick hitters because I know we're running close to an hour mark. Uh, Democrat Dianne Feinstein. She's been pressured by the Judiciary Committee and a lot of Democrats to retire.
Yeah,
They feel as if she's at that age where she can't show up to work, and
isn't
she's
she
still,
literally bedridden?
yeah, from my
Yeah,
understanding. I mean, obviously, I'm not an insider, but
yeah,
from the reports, yeah, she can't go to Washington. So I guess a lot of people are asking to abdicate her seat so that they can fill it with someone temporarily, so that we could get some judiciary nominees
yeah.
through. I don't know how I feel about that. I'll do a quick thought on it. It just,
I mean, if she resigns, then that's perfectly fine. I don't think that we should like take legal action against her for being sick or something like that. Like, let's get her off just to pass legislation. Like, I don't
yeah,
know. I think that there's some. I honestly think that like an age restriction is more legally sound than like mental
yeah.
competency tests. You know what I mean? I don't know
Mhm.
that you could be like, everybody, he's not mentally competent, even though the American people voted for him. He get him out of office. I don't know how that's democratic.
It'd be so hard to pass that though.
Yeah,
I hear progressives say it, but it's super hard to pass something
even if
like
it's
that.
hard to pass, I don't even know how there would be follow through. I don't know how you would enforce something like that. It's just weird.
Yeah,
It makes somewhat sense if we have 35. You have to be 35 to run for president. You got to be under 80 or something like that. Maybe under 85 or I don't know. It makes sense, but
it makes sense. It's just so hard to pass because
I don't know
they're,
though.
they're
Uh,
writing the laws.
yeah,
They're
I
writing
feel like that's something that could get bipartisan support.
an
One of the
age
few things I
restriction.
feel like
For
that and
sure.
like term limits, Republicans seem to like.
I like term limits. I mean, I just don't know. I don't. Okay, I prefer term limits over age restriction because I do
I
believe
agree,
in something about bringing in new
and I
ideas.
don't even like term limits that much for like Congress. As long as we get rid of dark money and like the finance is more transparent and people are voting for you for a reason. I don't know.
I definitely
It's
think there should be a
democracy.
financing cap.
Yeah, we
I
kind
think
of
that
we kind of do that now.
yeah, I think there should be a financing cap. I think people should start picking their elected officials based on their merits
Yeah,
and not how much they raise.
they regulate individual donations, but I don't think there's as much from your party. Like you can get a bunch of money from your party, and I think like super PACs, which is just a way of funneling money and through a legal process of just doing big donations,
Yeah.
which they still get through. They still get big donations through the NRA, which is
Hmm.
they can donate money because and they're funded by all the Republican base. It's just another way of getting a bunch of money into hands of people that you want to follow through with legislation that you prefer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Which technically they funnel it through this pack, but what's the difference between that and like some rich guy saying, here's $1 million, don't vote on gun legislation, here you go.
Same thing.
It's just like a more difficult path of getting the same result.
Exactly. Well, with that, Seth, we have like less than 5 minutes, so I wanted you to talk about your story today about the healthcare thing.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a segment I can really do, but I got a bill for $1,500 today for going to the doctor one time. One doctor visit. I couldn't really breathe through my nose very good, and my eustachian tubes are clogged up. So I went talked to an ENT, and they took my insurance. And then I get a claim today for $1,500. And I
Gee.
talked to him for 10 minutes, and they give me nose spray.
No,
I don't see what kind of labor, you know, how much labor that cost him to talk to me for 10 minutes. How much you like resources I was hoarding from the rest of the people that I need to pay that much amount of money. I don't see how this relates to healthcare, or how that makes any sort of sense how they can charge that kind of money.
yeah.
And the only reason is because we guarantee uh, we guarantee a certain amount of money through subsidies and stuff like that, through private insurance, all these sort of special privileges that we guarantee the government's going to compensate you for, through the public. Like if you have public health care, Medicare can't negotiate prices and anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
if you if they create a drug and you are guaranteed that all Medicare is going to cover all these drugs that we're buying, so it's like, but we're not going to negotiate the prices. Then if it's guaranteed money, then why would not a private company say, okay, it's costing us, instead of $500, it's costing us $700 to produce this. Now we're going to need a little bit more money. Like, oh, we're going to use this money for innovation. It doesn't really matter. The government's going to pay for it. They just keep doing that over and over and over, and it just keeps increasing, even though the quality of these drugs are not increasing. They're not innovating. They're not doing anything with the money. It's just guaranteed money that we're subsidizing, because which we should give Americans subsidized healthcare, but we shouldn't be subsidizing the private insurance companies. We should be negotiating drug prices, because otherwise, we're literally handing an empty check to private insurers.
Yeah.
We're saying, how much do you want? Because we'll cover it. And not a single healthcare system on this entire planet is as corrupt as ours, is as backwards as ours. We spend more money. We spend twice as much as every other developed nation per capita. We spend like, they keep talking about Bernie's healthcare plan and
Yeah.
how it's going to cost $4 trillion over the next 10 years. Do you know how much our healthcare system costs us? It costs us about $4 trillion over 10 years, but we're paying it separately. We're all paying it separately right now. We all
Like
have bigger checks, and we all have worse results, and not everybody's covered. And we're all paying it separately, but we're paying twice as much for no reason other than half that money is going into the hands of private insurers who are just selling payment plans. It's literally just it's private. It's corporatism.
it's
You know,
corporatism, healthcare corporatism.
it's completely corrupt, and we just let them get away with it because they control the legislation that would regulate it. They have deep ties to the pharmaceutical companies. They're all connected, and they're all making a lot of money off of it. So why would they want to change that?
They
And
don't.
we're all paying the price. Every single sick American, which doesn't make any sense why the sickest, most vulnerable people on the planet who have no control over the shit that happens to their health, all of a sudden get $12,000 bills or something just because they got a car accident or something. Oh, you got to go in an ambulance. Do you know how much money that shit costs? It's not voluntary when you're incapacitated. People just wake up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical debt sometimes. Like, it's like, I'm fine. I can afford $1,500 eventually. Like, it's fine, but that's nothing. That's one doctor visit. Imagine like unexpectedly getting cancer. Your entire
Yeah.
life is ruined.
Yeah.
Even if you survive, you're gonna be in debt for your entire life.
No, I agree. It's Our healthcare system's literally, like you said, is a healthcare corporations are dictating our livelihood and our ability to live. It's like we're saying to the average person that, if you have money, you can live a long life, but if you have a tough time gaining money or you're indigent, that your life means nothing to us because you can't pay for it. And
If you make too much money to be covered under Medicare, or if you make too much money to be covered under Medicaid, but your job doesn't give you health care, then then you're really screwed, and you have to pay out of pocket
yeah,
for. And and especially if you have a family, that can cost like thousands of dollars like a month. Like it's insane. If for just for one person, you can probably afford health care, but if you have a
yeah,
family, like
it's expensive.
it's
Like
insane.
it's a
There's
couple
no justification for it.
a buddy of mine, he pays like just for him and his kid almost like $1,500 a month. And it's like that's insane. Like the healthcare costs have gone super out of control in America. And the reason why I wanted you to bring this up in this segment is that we talk about having universal healthcare in this country, but we don't understand why. Bills like Seth's and that he've had and bills that most people face throughout the whole country for 10 minutes worth of consultation is monthly or someone's monthly check. So we're saying that your health, not only that you have to spend so much money on your health, but you won't even have enough money to live on your basic needs if you ever get sick. And this is why universal healthcare is so important. This is why progressives push the universal healthcare because we understand that there has to be a middle ground from someone experiencing that law and us trying to say that it's cost too much for us to create a program. I think
Yeah,
there's a middle ground that we can look at as progressives and say, hey, well, we got Obamacare. It didn't do enough. What can we do now to supplement Obamacare? I think we talked about that on the campaign trail
yeah,
about accessing the network of veterans, expanding the role of the veteran hospitals throughout the country because they're already locally connected to most major cities in America. And if we can take that and add a workers component to it, like an indigent component to it, we can give people access to healthcare. And that was one
I
of
think
the
just expanding Medicaid or Medicare would be a lot more efficient because then they could go to any hospital. Like most people, what if you live in Wyoming? You know what I mean? What if there's one VA hospital and it's 100 miles away? I don't
yeah,
think it would be as efficient if it's designated spots as much as it's a guaranteed coverage. You know what I
yeah,
mean? The government can foot the bill as long as we don't put completely give the power of how much it's going to cost to people who are going to guaranteed take advantage of that.
yeah,
And I think that's an issue. I think something like, we see with the VA, you have public health care, but I mean, it's also like the VA is already underfunded as it is by
yeah,
Republicans, and that's an issue. And that's really the only concern on my part of a completely Medicare for all system is if you don't have any sort of private option. Also,
hmm,
Republicans are just going to defund it and make your healthcare system worse off, which is kind of what they do in the UK because it's a nationalized healthcare system. I think the best version would be a single payer plus system where it's guaranteed universal healthcare. It's going to be covered, but we're permissive. We have different hospitals. We have different kinds of coverage that are also available if you want to pay for this and that. Uh, it'll make the system move by a little bit faster. I think there's definitely a role for private companies, private innovation, stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, every single excuse for private healthcare is just backwards. I mean, they talk about innovation, but the public money funds innovation for healthcare and just gives the property rights to private companies. You know what I mean? It's already publicly funded research. It's just we don't the American people don't benefit from it, which makes
yeah.
no sense. and we just look at the healthcare results of the rest of the world and how they get to those results. And it makes absolutely no sense why we're not using public money to reduce these costs.
Yeah.
All the only thing is stigma around the government and about how the government is going to run things when it's not even about running. It's just about funding. And it's about what we're allowing private entities to get away with, which is why is the government any less dangerous than a private industry that's completely interconnected and controlling an entire aspect? It's like a monopoly essentially, where they have the more power than what's regulating them, and they set the rules. They negotiate. They control all the prices. Stuff like that. I mean, there's some competition, obviously. It is a market economy, but at the end of the day, it's a less free system than a guaranteed healthcare system. They talk about people want their choice of private health insurance, but what are you choosing? You're choosing to pay. I mean, what's more choice than you are guaranteed to have your healthcare covered and you can see any doctor that you want to get that covered? What's more free? What would be more free than that? Guaranteed healthcare. You walk into a hospital, you get healthcare. They do that all around the world. It doesn't make any sense. How is it more free for you to pick Anthem Blue Cross to pay them this amount a month and then they guarantee this amount of coverage? How is that free? How is that more free? It
Yeah.
doesn't. How are they helping the system by doing that? It doesn't
You're
make
not.
sense. It's just stigma around taxes, because healthcare costs are not any different than a tax.
Yeah.
It's just a cost of something that's uncontrollable in your life, and everybody has to pay it. We already have to pay for healthcare. If you are a human, you have to pay for healthcare in some way, even if it's through taxes, and even if you don't have to pay a lot in taxes. Everybody's accountable to having to pay for their own healthcare. But why not do it in a way cheaper way that's more efficient, that guarantees more people coverage?
Yeah. Right.
Just lobbyists and the people that control it. That's all.
Take advantage of the system, man.
Even I was texting my mom today. She's very much in agreement that Medicare and Medicaid are much better systems. She is very, very conservative. It doesn't When you have systems that work, when you have programs that work that people like, people don't push against them as a government. People don't try to defund them. Even
Yeah.
Trump is marketing off of this. Like DeSantis wants to take away Social Security and
Yep.
Medicare, and we're seeing how quickly his numbers are dropping just based on that alone. Old
Yeah.
people, old people vote Republicans. Old people need health care. Why would they want to pay $10,000 out of pocket for? Nobody wants that. It doesn't help anybody except for the people in the industry.
Exactly. Well,
My
Steph,
speech.
that was a great speech, and we're gonna dive deep into healthcare a little bit more, guys.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode.
Yeah, this was just a little teaser
That's
for.
one where I would think I want to have a guest that's more educated than me. I know a lot about healthcare, but what's the point of me talking to somebody if I already know? I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
I'd like to learn. I'd like to have conversations where I learn,
Yeah. Maybe we can get a doctor on, and
or somebody that's a doctors don't necessarily know the macro scale of healthcare economics. They just know about how to heal somebody. So maybe somebody, an economist that knows a lot about healthcare.
yeah, we know a couple. So
We know some people, but we'll
we
see what
know
we can
some
do.
people. So what that being said, guys, it's Wednesday, April 19th. We're going to sign off.
You say 19th?
Yeah,
It's not.
today's the 19th.
It's April 18th.
No, it hit. Oh wait, it's 19 for me because I'm in the East Coast. You're on the West Coast.
Whoa. Wait,
So
it's not 12 yet for you.
yes, it is.
Oh, it's exactly 12. Oh, I see.
It's 12:10.
It says 9 p.m. for me, so I was like, no, sir, it's not. Man,
Yeah,
we're living in a different day, Jesse.
we are, man. This is a parallel universe.
What's tomorrow like?
It looks very dark.
It doesn't look dark to me. It looks really
Well,
nice and sunny. I kind of want to go out in your pool.
oh yeah. Well, I'm in the metaverse,
Yeah.
so
You can tell by your hands disappearing, reappearing every fucking 3 seconds. Oh, oh.
all right, guys, we're delusional.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is gonna sign off for this week. We look forward to having you guys next week. Like I said, we're gonna dive deep into healthcare. Um, we're also going to talk about
We'll see.
some ongoing.
We'll see what
Yeah,
news happens in between
we'll
that
see,
time. I'm
yeah,
sure.
we'll see some news happening. We're gonna add some more to our segments in terms of like topic driven. Dive deep into topics. It's kind of what we do here now. We have a conversation, but
Yeah,
as we get, we call it dive deeper.
I
You
think the
know,
best way to do topics is with guests because I
yeah,
don't think any of us are experts. We can discuss topics, but none of us are really expert on anything specifically.
yeah. So
I think some people are more focused on some issues versus others. I think it'd be
yeah,
interesting to talk to them.
yeah. So if you guys, we're on Twitter. So if you guys want to put on the comment section of topics that you guys want us to do a deep dive in, we'll go ahead and deep dive a little bit further into certain topics. And like I said, we know people, so we'll get some experts in here. We can talk about it, and we can talk about how we can add it to the progressive agenda.
So,
So with that being said, we're gonna sign out. Seth, you had any final words?
no, I feel pretty good. We're already pushing our time.
Yeah, we are. But it's all right, good because we're having a good time and we're learning.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see you guys next week. Make sure you leave a comment, like, share our videos, and we look forward to seeing you.
Everyone have a great week. I'll see you later. Bye,
See ya.
Jesse.
Peace.